Why don't we want state police to be fast-tracked? All we have had over time is that politicians are going to use it against themselves. The question we have asked is that these politicians, what are their numbers? When you add all the Nigerian politicians together, they are less than 0.1% of Nigerian population. So how can we, because of less than 0.1% of Nigerian population, we will allow 99.99 to suffer? That, and any company who does not want member to organize, what you are actually doing is because you know that you are subjecting them to hardship. You know that you are not taking care of their welfare, and you know that you just want to wake up any morning and get them terminated. And for us, from the ILO convention to the laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it is our indelible right to unionize. And this is a note of warning to those hotels. And one of them is Abuja Continental Hotel, where they have refused our members to unionize. A note of warning that the time of talk is almost over. If they want their business to continuously to thrive, they should allow those workers there to be organized.
Solidarity forever. Isoleto in Africa. In Africa. Our distinguished and respected colleagues, the number one person, I can see Moab, I can see Axan, all of the athletes, they are all welcome. I'm invited and distinguished ladies and gentlemen to present to you the number one worker, Festus Osifo, who will be addressing this world
Congress of Nigeria, Comrade Esther Asabe.
And that import today has driven down the price of rice to where it is now. Almost
The press, so we called this press conference to further our advocacy on issues that are affecting our members, issues that are affecting the Nigerian populace, and also issues that are affecting our specific affiliates. Today, as you know, that Nigeria as a country, we have been battling issues regarding some economic challenges. And as you know, those economic challenges, they are still here with us. If you recall, early 2024, TUC, we called a press conference where we submitted a 15-point demand to the Nigerian government. And we backed it up by a meeting that was held with the Secretary of the State, the Secretary of Government of the Federation, where we further championed these issues and where we have been advocating for issues that we think that when government could look at, the solutions that we proposed, we felt that when government could look at them and implement some of them, they are going to ameliorate the challenges that we were facing as at then. If you remember, in that communique, among the 15 issues that we highlighted was also issues that were bordering on food security. We said that it is a country, it is when the people are well fed that you start thinking of self-sufficiency regarding, food production. Now, whereas we were quite happy that Nigeria farmers were producing food that we were consuming, we were quite happy that most of the food we were consuming as at then were produced locally. But because of the challenges that we were facing regarding the state of insecurity, because of the fact that the farmers could no longer go to their farms, we advocated and we pushed it home, telling government to source for food all over the world. Because it is when the people see food to eat that they could go to work. It is people that see food to eat that could go to school. That advocacy got to the right places, and at the end, government, gave licenses for people to import food. And a lot of importers brought in food that sufficiently crashed the price of food. Whereas it was good for us to produce food internally, but the price as at then was skyrocketing because of the singular issue of farmers not being able to go to their farms. So today, that challenge still exists with us because we are hearing that government want to stop some of this food importation. This food importation could be stopped only and only if farmers could go back to farm. Only if and only when the supply end has been solved. Because simple economics from our secondary school are that when the supply is limited and the demand remains constant or I bet increase, the price is going to increase. We don't want bag of rice to go back again to 100,000 naira. We don't want bag of rice to go back again to 120,000 naira. Even where it is today, we still believe it's still relatively high. We still believe it can still come down much more than that. The same thing with the price of tomato. The same thing with the price of yam. Because we must feed ourselves before we are able to do anything else. So we are calling on government to sustain this policy and solve the state of insecurity so that our farmers could go back to farm. When our farmers could go back to farm in their numbers, when we are not producing food and we have solved the issues of supply, then we can now say it is high time for us to stop food importation. But for now, we completely support it. We think that it is one policy that has drastically reduced the price of some staple food, and we want government to sustain it. Then we have also observed, as we have followed keenly, that there are still, whereas the issues of the macroeconomic policies, to a very large extent, it has been stabilized. The issue of inflation, it has been curbed relatively using the figure from MBS. If you look at the issue of the exchange rate, it has relatively stabilized. But this has not dovetailed into the microeconomy. The macroeconomy is known to the economics, is known to the bourgeois, but for the talakawas, for the workers, for the traders, all they relate with are the issues that are bordering on the microeconomy. That is, how much do I purchase goods in the market? That means, what are those basic things that affect you and I on a daily basis? As we've said, macroeconomics to a large extent has been stabilized, but it has not dovetailed down to microeconomics. And one of the reasons it has not dovetailed down to the micro is still the exchange rate. If you recall, January 2024, one of the issues we highlighted that we submitted to government has been the issue of exchange rate. We have been particular about this, and we are still particular about it. Thank God, when we started our advocacy, the exchange rate then was about 1,800, 1,700 naira to a dollar. Today, it has stabilized around 1,380 naira to a dollar. But the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria still feel that this is still relatively high. We still believe that our naira is still undervalued. It is not overvalued, but undervalued. We still think that our naira has nothing to do with that high rate of close to 1,400 naira to a dollar. We strongly believe that the fair value of our naira, as explained by all agencies, as explained by all economic think tanks, including the World Bank and IMF, including the governor of CBN, we know that the fair value of our naira using purchasing power parity could be somewhere around 900 naira, maximum 1,000 naira to a dollar. And we know that CBN has what it takes to manage the exchange rate to about 1,000 naira to a dollar. They were actually in that trajectory towards the end of last year, but we had the subnationals who were jittery. They were jittery because they feel that they are not going to have more naira to pay salaries. And from what we have said, the only people that devaluation hurt is actually the workers. Because every other item reflects the naira component. As we've said oftentimes, the phone that we use today, if the value of that phone is $100, when you devalue naira, it's simply to multiply $100 by the naira value. Today, the value of everything reflects devaluation, most especially if they are imported goods. But one of those things that never reflect devaluation is the earnings of the Nigerian workers. Because when you look at it, even if the naira was devalued up to about 300%, or the effect of the devaluation was about 300%, but if you look at the effect on Nigerian workers, how many of the sectors were we able to even record a 50% increment in salary? Even government did not even do that. Whereas the minimum wage that was negotiated was about 133% increment. But the consequential adjustment that was done by almost all tier of government was really abysmal. That in some places, they were just adding the 40 naira difference between 70,000 naira and 70,000 naira and 30,000 naira. That 40,000 naira difference was just added across board. And that did not reflect the reality of today, or even the reality of 2024 when that minimum wage was negotiated. What are we saying in effect is that the cost of construction of road in state, a kilometer road may cost $1 million, for example. When when the contractor is billing the state government, he's going to take that $1 million and multiply it by the exchange rate, say 1,400. So if the exchange is 1,400, he multiplies it, you are going to pay that value. If the value of the Prado Jeep that the governors that they ride on, if the value of the Prado Jeep before devaluation was $100,000, and it was 45 million naira. After devaluation, with dollar going to 1,500, it becomes 150 million naira. So, irrespective of the fact that they are getting more naira, their expense reflect the true value of what that currency is. The only people that doesn't reflect that is the workers, because they did not actually implement the consequential adjustment the way it should be done. And because it did not reflect in the worker's salary moves by some minimal percentage. But those workers, when they go to market, they are meant to pay the 300% increment in the item. If a worker is buying a phone, for example, he is meant to pay that 300% reflection. If the worker is buying food, he is also meant to pay that component as well. Because even the food that we produce locally, we produce those food with fertilizer. And if you look at the fertilizer, most of the fertilizers are imported. Even the ones that are produced locally, meanwhile they are priced in naira, but they are valued in USD. So there's actually USD component in literally everything. That was why we saw that danger in 2024, and we mounted the rostrum. We started advocating that government must look at it. Yes, to a large extent, it was curtailed from about 1,800 high, brought down somewhere to about 1,400 today, but we still think that is still relatively high. We still believe that government has the sophistication to bring it down to somewhere around 900 to 1,000 naira. If that is done, it is going to reflect in the inflation figures, it's going to reflect in the cost of goods in the market. So we call on government to still act on that and to act decisively.
Solidarity
Forever. Also, today we still grapple with the state of insecurity. As you all know, we still have the challenge with us today. So insecurity is still there. If you remember at well, we have been advocating for state police, right? And today the conversation is ripe, and we learned that there is a bill with the National Assembly today talking about state police. But all we are telling government is that let's not fool drag. We are also hearing that because of the election that is coming, that there are some group that is actually saying, oh, government, don't fast track the issue of state police. We've asked them, why don't we want state police to be fast tracked? All we have heard over time is that politicians are going to use it against themselves. The question we have asked is that these politicians, what are their numbers? When you add all the Nigerian politicians together, they are less than 0.1% of Nigerian population. So how can we, because of less than 0.1% of Nigerian population, we will allow 99.99 to suffer? That is not logical. Government must do things that would impact the larger number of people. You must do good, looking at the larger number of people that is going to impact. So for us, we think that state police is rife. We think that the time to implement state police is now. We know that this government, with their relationship with the National Assembly, we know that there is no bill that they want to pass that they will not pass within 48 hours. We know that they have what it takes, because the National Assembly is made up of APC. The government at the center is also APC. And in every part of the world, when the legislative arm has majority, and that is and the party at the center, you know, also reflect that party that have majority at the legislature, things to go as smooth as possible. And we know it has been demonstrated since 2023, and even when Buhari was there, that if this government or if the APC government want to get things done in the National Assembly, they have what it takes to get it done. So we are calling on government not to relent, not to listen to the people who are making those advocacy that the state police will be used against, politicians will use it against themselves. We don't care much about that. What we care about is what will protect over 99% of Nigerians. And that is why we are advocating that government should fast track the bill in the National Assembly. Send same bill to the state to get 24 states to also support the bill in their majority, so that the state police will become established. People have asked about funding of those state police. What we have asked is, Nigeria is in a state of war today. When a nation is not secured, you cannot start talking about building of hospitals, building of roads. Today in Ukraine, nobody in Ukraine is even talking about how many hospitals are you going to build, because they are in a state of emergency. All they want today is security, and this must be treated like that. Beyond state police as well, government must deploy technology. We've talked about this over and over again, and we will not get tired talking about it, because we are talking about lives of Nigerians. Government must do everything within its means to deploy the right technology and deploy the right equipment in order to be able to curb these issues that are bordering on insecurity in Nigeria. Then also, on some of the issues that are affecting some of our affiliates. Today, as you know, we have some issues regarding aviation. Correct. You could go to the airport. It was difficult flying from Abuja and Lagos today, because the unions in that sector, they are currently on strike. And one of the unions in that sector is ATSAN. And ATSAN is an affiliate of the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria. What are the issues? We learned that they informed us just before the strike started, sometime last week, about the issues that are happening there. And one of the principal issues is that these airlines, they have refused members who want to unionize. They have refused the affiliates to organize members in the aviation sector. And any company who does not want members to organize, what you are actually doing is because you know that you are subjecting them to hardship. You know that you are not taking care of their welfare. And you know that you just want to wake up any morning and get them terminated. And for us, from the ILO convention to the laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it is our indelible right to unionize. We have the right, so no employer can stop an employee from belonging to the union. So we have endorsed what they are doing 100%, and we are giving them a total support to ensure that these issues are resolved.
Solidarity
Forever. Another issue is that there is a 5% ticket charge. That 5% ticket charge are supposed to be remitted to the workers. But as of today, that 5% ticket charge are not remitted. And it has, the value today is about 25 billion naira. That money are with the airlines. They have refused to remit the money. And we will do everything possible to get the money remitted. This morning, we were contacted by those in the authority to try to wade in, and we've been doing that since morning to find an amicable solution around this. But for us, they must do the needful, they must do what is right. Because if you try to placate the issues without resolving it, we call off the strike today. Tomorrow, there will be another strike again. So it is better we go to the root cause and resolve the issues once and for all. Solidarity forever. Also, we also have similar issues in HAPSA. So in HAPSA today, we have hotels that they don't want our members to be unionized. HAPSA, they've tried everything within their means to get our members in those hotels to be organized. They have refused. And this is a note of warning to those hotels. And one of them is Abuja Continental Hotel, where they have refused our members to unionize. A note of warning that the time of talk is almost over. If they want their business to continuously to thrive, they should allow those workers there to be organized. But if they refuse, we will come after them. We will disrupt their business, and we will ensure that what they don't want to do in the lawful way, we will force them to get it done. Are we ready?
Yes.
Solidarity forever. Then also, the state of our refineries today. As we know and as we've noted, at a time, there was massive rehabilitation going on in the refinery. But as of today, the ones that were working, they were stopped. And as I have explained in the last State of the Nation briefing that we had, that the reason they stopped them is actually because when they look at the material balance, what you are putting in the input, what you are getting in the return is not commensurate. What that means is that there was some revenue loss. So because of the revenue loss, there was a change in strategy. And that change in strategy has actually aligned with what we have been advocating in Pengassan for over 25 years now. And what is that? The NLNG model. Today, we have advocated that government should not sell the refinery outrightly. That selling it outrightly will not solve the issues that are bordering on energy security. But what we have advocated for is that reduce the government equity in the refineries. That today, in NLNG, government has 49% and a consortium of private companies has 51%. So that means decision making are not reached emotionally. Decision making are not reached politically, but decision making are reached when you look at the economics, when you look at the commercial considerations. That's because the three companies that own 51%, they are there to make profit. And the only way they will make profit is to get NLNG functioning. So today, as you saw in the media or different medium a while ago on issues that are bordering on the refinery and the MOU that was signed between NNPC and some sets of Chinese company. So today, what we have advocated for is that the private companies, not friends of government, not those who does not have business on petrochemical, not those who does not have business in refinery. Let people that clearly understand how to run refineries, people who have petrochemical plants all over the world, let them come and buy equity in the refinery so that government holdings in those refineries will become maximum 49% and the private sector will owe 51%. We have said this 25 years ago, that this is the most veritable way to get those refineries functioning, that this is the best option that is open to us, so that we don't need the Federal Executive Council to be approving contracts on the refineries. Because when it gets there, there's going to be political interest. When it gets there, there's going to be different kind of interest. So, but when it is private, that will not happen. That is why today, in NLNG, they award contract, and Federal Executive Council is not even aware of such contract because 51% decisions are taken by people who understand the business. So we endorse the process or what is currently happening in NNPC, and we learned that these people, they were in Warri refineries, they've done their studies, they are currently in Port Harcourt refinery. For us, that is the way to go. The government equity should be drawn down, but the refinery must not be sold outrightly. Because selling those refineries outrightly, what is happening today to the discos, what is happening today to the discos could also happen. Where in 2013, 2014, our entire power sector was mortgaged to individuals who does not have business in managing that sector, to individuals who does not have the technical capacity, to people who doesn't even have the financial war chest to have managed that sector. That after selling these discos to them, and even the distribution arm, government took taxpayer money to also support them to survive. We don't want such to happen to our refinery. So we are endorsing what is currently being done today in NNPC Limited to ensure that those refineries are going concern and to ensure that government take in the refineries are reduced to maximum of 49% so that private investors would come in. Solidarity. Forever. Then we will not also fail to make some few commendations. And one of such commendations, recently we've been seeing a spate of arrests by the DSS. We have seen a lot of arrests of a bandit, of terrorists by the DSS. And one of the things we have been saying over the years, that you have to arrest these people and you must send them to court. You must prosecute them. Because how do you send negative signal to the bad how do you send signal to the bad guys? You send signal to the bad guys when you get some of them arrested, you persecute them, and you commit them to either life in prison or, depending on the offense, or you commit them to death sentence. When you do that, and everybody sees it, then the other guys will now know that it's no longer business as usual. So that is why we are commending the DSS led by the Director General on what they are doing, and they should continue in that regard. Because for us, when government does some things that are wrong, we condemn. And when they do things that we see some positive in it, we also commend. So in this regard, we are commending the DG of DSS, Oluwatosin Ajayi, for the beautiful work that they have begun, but let us do more. Because almost every week, we have seen some of these people, like what happened in Ibadan, at the arrowhead of that kidnap. They are currently facing trials. And even where some of them were convicted to life imprisonment, they said, no, we don't want life imprisonment. We want death sentence. And they have appealed. And we have encouraged them to continue. And rising from here, we also sent commendation letter to the Director General of DSS, and we encourage him to do more. When they do well, we commend. When they don't do well, we condemn. And also, we wish to also commend what has happened to the military by their salary being increased between 50 to 80%. We think is the right step in the right direction by government, so much to increasing the salary of the military officers. Because these are the people that when we are sleeping, they are there at the forefront to ensure that Nigeria remain a going concern. So we appreciate the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for doing that. But we should not just stop with the military. You've done it to the military, it's quite good. But you should extend it to the entire Nigerian workforce. Because the best way of fighting the war is not just gun alone, it's also taking care of some of the economic needs. So we call on government that while we thank you for increasing the salaries of the military, we also call on you to extend it to every Nigerian workers, most especially those that are working for government. Solidarity forever. And as federal government is doing that, the state government should also do the same thing in the state, and the local government should also do the same thing at the third tier of government. Then lastly, we also wish to commend the Minister of Health, because we had some issues in one of our affiliates, FOPTOB, and the issues was really troubling, because some of our factories that our members are working, most especially in Lagos and other parts of Nigeria, they were shut down. They were shut down because of a policy that government said they are trying to implement. And when we intervened, a meeting was convened that the Minister of Health chaired, Professor Ali Patti. And during that meeting, some of our members that were arrested were ordered to be released, and also the factory they were ordered to be opened. And we commend him for acting swiftly. And we wish that all other agencies of government and all other ministries act as swiftly as that. Solidarity forever. Yeah, thank you so much, comrades.